In the late 18th century, the winds of revolution began to stir in Britain's North American colonies. What began as protest over taxes and representation soon escalated into one of the most significant wars in modern history. The American Revolutionary War, fought from 1775 to 1783. It was a war that pitted colonists against the greatest empire of the age. A war for liberty, self-determination, and a new identity. Its outcome would change the course of world history and lay the foundation for a nation built on the radical idea that government derives its power from the consent of the governed. The roots of the conflict can be traced back to the aftermath of the 7 Years' War. Britain, victorious but heavily in debt, looked to its American colonies as a source of revenue. The imposition of new taxes, such as the Stamp Act and the Tea Act, sparked outrage among colonists who had no representatives in Parliament. No taxation without representation became the rallying cry. Tensions boiled over with events like the Boston Massacre in 1770 and the Boston Tea Party in 1773. In response, the British government imposed punitive measures known as the Intolerable Acts, further alienating the colonies. By 1775, the situation had reached a breaking point. On April 19th, British troops marched to seize colonial weapons in Concord, Massachusetts. They were met by local militias in Lexington and Concord, and the first shots of the war, later immortalized as the shot heard round the world, were fired. These skirmishes marked the beginning of armed rebellion. Soon, militias from across the colonies rallied to the cause. The Second Continental Congress convened in Philadelphia and appointed George Washington, a Virginian and veteran of the French and Indian War, as commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. The early years of the war were marked by struggle. Washington's forces were ill-equipped, poorly trained, and constantly short on supplies. Yet they scored a critical victory in 1776 with the surprise attack on Hessian forces at Trenton after crossing the icy Delaware River. That same year, the Continental Congress took a bold step. On July 4, 1776, it adopted the Declaration of Independence, written primarily by Thomas Jefferson. This document not only severed ties with Britain, but also articulated a vision of government grounded in natural rights and individual liberty. The war continued across multiple fronts, with key battles in New York, New Jersey, and the southern colonies. The turning point came in 1777 at the Battle of Saratoga in New York. American forces under General Horatio Gates defeated a major British army led by General Burgoyne. The victory at Saratoga convinced France to formally ally with the United States, a critical development that brought not only troops but also naval power, financial support, and international legitimacy. Spain and the Dutch Republic would soon follow in opposing Britain, effectively transforming the American Revolution into a global conflict. Despite these gains, the war dragged on. The British shifted their strategy to the southern colonies, where they believed loyalist support was stronger. Fierce fighting broke out in South Carolina and Georgia, with brutal partisan warfare waged by both sides. Washington's army endured harsh winters, most famously at Valley Forge in 1777-78, where soldiers suffered from cold, hunger, and disease. But thanks to training from European officers like Baron von Steuben, the Continental Army gradually became a more disciplined and effective force. The final phase of the war culminated in 1781, when British General Cornwallis retreated to Yorktown, Virginia, to resupply and regroup. There he found himself trapped by Washington's forces on land and the French Navy at sea. After weeks of siege, Cornwallis surrendered his army on October 19, 1781. The victory at Yorktown effectively ended major combat, though small skirmishes continued. Peace negotiations began soon after, and in 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed. Britain recognized the independence of the United States and ceded vast territory stretching to the Mississippi River. The American Revolutionary War had far-reaching consequences. It gave birth to a new nation founded not on monarchy or tradition, but on Enlightenment ideals: freedom, equality, and republicanism. It inspired other revolutionary movements around the world, from France to Latin America. Yet it also left unanswered questions. The new republic would grapple with issues of slavery, indigenous displacement, and the meaning of liberty for centuries to come. In the end, the Revolutionary War was more than a colonial rebellion. It was a profound experiment in self-rule. It revealed the power of ideas and the determination of ordinary people to shape their own destiny. And though the struggle for a more perfect union would continue, the foundations were laid on the battlefields from Lexington to Yorktown.